Welcome to Make a Path Presents. I'm Ronnie Hayes, and today is more of a personal video, so if you don't care for that, you can bounce out, come back when we got something that has to do with entertainment. But one of the most requested videos I've been getting over the past, I would say 2 years, is more of the personal videos. We're going to touch on something in this video having to do with being a dad, and it's kind of like in the middle of a couple things I've been meaning to discuss, but those will definitely come. This is like the start of some of the more personal videos you're going to see for 2019. It's not going to be like an everyday thing. Relax. Once in a while, like a bonus video. Anyway, this is my ninth birthday. This is my ninth birthday. This is my ninth Christmas being a father, and my daughter just turned 9, and it's crazy how there's so much that went by extremely fast. As far as your memory goes, it's like motion blur. There's so much that you just forget about. So many things that seem so important at the time, but now that we're here, 9 years later, it's like you don't even remember most of it. It's crazy. If some things feel like they take so long, they take forever, and then moments you just sit back and you're like, damn, I'm about to be a dad it's about to be a decade. Ouch. Where did that time go? What have I done in that time? I don't know. Anyway, one thing stands out to me though, clear. I mean, crystal clear. It's one conversation, and it's so odd too because, like I was talking about, I've had, tens of thousands of conversations since I've been a father, but one conversation from when my daughter was maybe 4 months old, man, I can picture it crystal clear, like it was yesterday. It's insane. It was when I realized, my baby mom is a heroin addict, right? And it was when I realized, well, she wasn't when she was pregnant, but I'm saying after. My daughter's like 4 months old, about 3 months old. We had split up. I got sick of her shit. I had, we'll talk about it, but I got appendicitis. I had this pain in my stomach. I was like, man, listen, that ain't nothing. It'll go away. So I'm working and doing my hustle, and like 3 days went by, and that shit was hurting. I'll tell the story in length some other time because it was pretty crazy. But anyway, it got so bad, I couldn't even lift my leg to get in the shower. It just hurt. The pain was bad. And I'm a guy with like 14 tattoos. It didn't even flinch. I don't mind it. Pain, some of it. I've never broken a bone. I mean, I've broken a few knuckles, I broke a toe, a finger, but never like a long bone. Something that actually counts. Collarbone, it gives me chills. I was in Little League and a friend dove for a ball, broke his collarbone, and I was like, oh, damn. That sucks. Anyway, so pain's not really, I got like a pretty good pain threshold. Well, this shit hurt. It hurt enough for me to go, all right, I'm going to the hospital. So I go to the hospital, and the first thing the doctor says is, well, good news, it's not appendicitis because you'd be dead, because it was like 3 days. So he pushes on my belly, and I shoved him into the curtain. I was like, yo, I am so sorry, but it was just instant reaction. That shit hurt. Don't touch me like that again. So they came in, they shot me up with morphine, didn't work. And they came in again and shot me up with like Dilaudid or some shit like that. I was high as shit. And I've never had Dilaudid before, none of that, but I got high. I was like, yo, I am good. Send me home. So they did some tests, and then they came back and they were like, listen, call somebody in your family right now. We got to send you up to emergency surgery. Here, my appendix burst. So it was, and for those who don't know, I guess you get like toxic levels in your bloodstream, and it will kill you. I know when I was being operated on, they told my grandmother there was like a 45-minute window. I almost died. It was that close because I was just an idiot. I was like, this pain, I'll just man through it. Man up. Well, that was stupid. So now when something happens, I get real paranoid. I get really paranoid. The other night I was going to bed and my heartbeat was like really strong, or at least I thought it was strong. I was like on the pillow and I hear it thump, 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 thump. And I got so freaked out, man. I had to turn sides. Anyhow, so after that, there was a whole deal with my baby mom, and my daughter's like, 3.5 months old? Something like that. And there was a whole thing where she, in that period, was like, yeah, I made up my mind. I just want to, do drugs and like not have any responsibilities. So I made up my mind to take my daughter, and it was it. I went and searching for an apartment, fresh out the hospital, limping, chewing on painkillers, just trying to look for a place for me and my kid. And I sat down right when I found a place, right? I'm going to move in. And I had this conversation with my friend, one of my really good friends back then, and he told me, he's like, as a matter of fact, here's a couple of pictures. This was the house we moved out of. So this was how big my daughter was, or she's about 4 months old here, when I, started raising her on my own, when I finally took her. And I sat down with my friend, and I was talking about my situation, and he's all like, well, what are you going to do? Whoop-de-whoop. Man, look at her chubby cheeks. Look at her chubby cheeks in that car seat, man. Look at here, too. This is right when we moved in, maybe like 2 months after we moved into our first apartment. Me and my daughter, just the two of us. Look at those cheeks, man. She was a cutie. Anyway, so I told him, I said, I mean, my brain, it didn't give me any other options. It was just like, well, listen, I'm not having my kid around a drug addict. I'm just not, because there are certain things where you put your kid in certain situations, something could scar her for the rest of her life. That's my kid. I ain't messing around with that shit, So I'm taking her 100%. Like, I'm just going to raise her outside of that environment. I'm not comfortable with it. And I'm thinking the worst of the worst, like some foul shit that'll scar her and she's never going to be right. Why would I even allow anything like that to happen when I can simply just uproot her and bounce, And I did all legal lawyer shit too. It wasn't just like I snatched my kid, but I will just snatch my kid. I don't give a damn. You know what I'm saying? If it comes to living in an environment that will destroy your life. Yeah. So I'm telling my friend, I'm like, I got to take my kid. And now keep in mind, I'm an ex-con. I only got this apartment because I paid him 3 times the rent, And everywhere I went looking for apartments, it wasn't just like I couldn't find a place. Every time I found an apartment, they were like, oh yeah, we'll run the background check, and everyone kept denying me. So finally I got fed up. I found a place that was like $4.25 a month. Cheap for this type of neighborhood, not in like cities. I think in Raleigh now, this area, it's like twice the price for it's just ridiculously more expensive than where I was living back home. But yeah, so $5.25. They did a background check. They told me no. The location would have been perfect. It was right by a pizza joint I loved. It was right by bus stops or laundromats or different things like that we can get to. It was right by everyone I knew, like a lot of people. It was like in the heart of a part of the city where I can move around good, be around people I knew still. So I told him, I said, listen, I'll give you $2,000 straight up, whatever it was, like $1,500 right now. I don't care what you do with the extra money, just let us in de So finally they said, yeah, whoop-de-whoop. So you got to understand, there was, I don't know how to justify this or not, but I was a shithead. Let me be honest. All I wanted to do was just wake up every day and just enjoy my day. That was it. I didn't want to be a doctor. I didn't want to be a lawyer. Didn't want to do none of that. I know when I was little, I always wanted to write movies. That was it. So ever since I was a kid, all I wanted to do was, write movies or direct movies or whatever. But I just knew coming from where I was coming from, that's not going to happen. So my only goal was, yeah, I'm just going to enjoy every day when I wake up. So that's who I was. Ex-con, enjoying my day, no ambitions to, better my future or whatever. So just to give you some background, because what my friend said would sound kind of rude, but it was an honest question. So he said, how long is that going to last? Like, how long do you honestly expect to raise your daughter? You know what I'm saying? Like, and that was an honest, it sounds rude when I think it back, but it's a real question, And I just told him, bro, I got this 6 months, 9 months. I guarantee, I don't know how I'm going to fail, but I guarantee I can go 9 months. I don't know where we go from there. I don't maybe 6 to 9 months, something like that. And I don't know. Keep in mind, raising a daughter too on top of that. Oh my God, I was in over my head. There was a few people in my life too that helped me out. Some girlfriends, girls, or actual girls from the neighborhood that were, friends as well. They had kids. A lot of good people in my life that, friends of mine and whatnot that helped me out. One of my best friends he'll be around a little more. He's upstate, locked up right now. He's getting out in about a year, and he's going to move closer so our families can be closer because he's like a brother to me. But our kids used to go together every year to get pictures with the Easter Bunny. I think I got a picture here. Yeah, here's my daughter with the Easter Bunny. His son is here too. I just don't want to pop his pictures, on the channel without getting his permission first or whatever. But here's my daughter. I think this is the following year, the year before that, with Santa Claus. And then here's another one, I think 2 years after that, with Santa Claus. It looks like the same Santa Claus. It was the same location, so I imagine they hired the same guy. But yeah, even the trees are like set up the same. That's definitely the same dude. But yeah, those are like 2 years apart. So I had people in my life too. As for example, there was certain situations like with WIC. My daughter had to take a certain formula, and it was mad expensive. She was also premature because she stopped growing in her mother's belly when she was born. She had like this weird deformity down her spine. That all went away. It was, from what I know, how the doctors explained it, she just didn't form all the way. She didn't fully grow, so she had to grow. I mean, I was freaked out about all that, but I had to get this formula that was mad expensive. I just paid all this extra money just so we can have a place. Everything was urgent too. We had to get moving, get things rolling. I put mad shit on layaway in Kmart. I mean, when I set the apartment up, I was even shocked. You walked in, you had a crib, her whole area had a little office set up where I could still write and stuff like that. But you went to her crib, everything was brand new from Kmart. I put stuff on layaway, like $600 worth of stuff, and then I went and hustled hard, and I paid it off. And then you go out in the living room, it had my weight bench workout center, my punching bag, living room stuff, but then it had the living room laid out nice with a fish tank, and I mean, it was nice. It was nice. You could walk in there, child services and all that, and be like, oh shit, this is on and popping, because everything was fresh. But signed up for WIC, and even with getting some help, it's nice to have people there, because my friend was getting help as well with Section 8. It's not Section 8, but Section 8 is with the housing, but this is with like welfare help, where you go and they get grants where if you fall in hard times in certain months, they got grants to help you pay your water or help you pay off this. Well, there was some type of grant for single parents or parents with something in particular, and I guess there's a lot of fraud there. So when I went up with my daughter, they denied me at the thing. They told me, nah, that grant doesn't even exist. There's no help for that, whoop-de-whoop. And then as we were leaving, I ran into my best friend and his wife, and they were taking our kids up. And she knew about it. She did all the research. So they said, nah, come back with us. So we walked back up there. And sure enough, the lady at the window looked pissed, because I went right behind them and they got cleared. They went in, and then I walked right up and I'm like, yeah, I'm here for what they're here for. Because I guess they just make the assumption on their own. They're going to look at you and then be like, okay, you're faking it. I don't even know how you can fake it. It's just, check social security numbers if they double up. Or I don't know, whatever. But there's certain grimy things where you'll just get judged. Some things are tricky and difficult, but and again too it is all like the government assistance and stuff like that for certain things. So at the end of the day, I wasn't really throwing a fit, but at the same time it would have been a help. But it's still kind of rude that they have grants to help people in certain situations. And I am not an individual who will abuse welfare Section 8. Like, we're not on welfare. I definitely could be if I wanted to. Yeah, I could probably move back home and get on it right away. Let me tell you a messed up story. I went to housing. I was having a little bit of trouble, and they had these grants where they're like, we'll pay off some bill or help with this rent to get you situated. And they looked at all my financing, and they were like, all right, listen, we can't help you. Because there's nothing on the record to show that you would be able to sustain this after. I said, yeah, well, I know the record shows that, but if I get this clearing, the promotion at the job kicks in, I make the more money, and then boom, boom, boom. But I just didn't have like proof of that. You know what I'm saying? With the promotion. So the lady straight turned to me, and this is welfare housing, and this is normal. This is like a normal thing. She turns to me and she goes, listen, tell you what, you're like struggling to get by paying your stuff. And then you have like your good months, your bad months, because I was working at a bar at that time. And she tells me, you quit your job and we'll give you everything. We'll even pay to turn on your utilities. We'll give you like $120 a month. She said, that's what I can't give you $400 now. And that's the only thing I would have ever needed. $400 and then I'm good. I'll because I was working, I was providing my own thing. Their offer was, quit your job and raise your kid, and we'll pay you. You know, and that's the welfare system. And it's a lot of that. There's so many different, avenues in the welfare system. Some of it is just so corrupt, it's not even funny. A lot of taxpayer money gets wasted like unbelievable. There's so many people that don't even need it, nowhere close to needing it. And they get it. They get a lot more than some people that really need it. But yeah, so that was the offer. She straight up told me, listen, you quit your thing, we'll put you into the Section 8. I think it was like the Okama Terrace or something at the time they called it. And we'll even pay you. We'll give you an allowance of like $120. We get you food stamps. We get you set up in housing. We'll give you the money to pay your utilities. I mean, that shit was crazy. But again, at the time, I was like, nah. And not judging, because there's certain people that take those offers and do those things because they need them. If I didn't have family, because I knew I would be relocating to be with family as soon as I had some things with the law to square away and settle up. So I knew I would be bouncing out, and I just figured, nah, I'll just struggle and do my own thing and then bounce out. But yeah, that was the deal. I walked in just being like, listen, I just need this $400 just to make it through, and then with my promotion, I'm good. And then they said, nah, listen, you quit your job, we'll pay for everything. Like, that's welfare, bro. Well, that's part of welfare. That is a part of it. So anyway, long story short, not a long story short, back to me and my buddy sitting down. I'm taking my daughter, and he just tells me, man, how long are you going to make that work? And I swear to God, I thought it would be 6 months, 9 months, and that's a wrap, And it's been 9 years. Like, that's crazy. And I'm not saying this in a way to say, look at me, bro. Like, fucking dad of the year. You know what I'm saying? Like, give me praise in the comments. Like, that's not at all what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is, for new parents out there, or new fathers, new single mothers, new single parents, no matter what your situation was in, I'll explain some of my situation before, but it may not, it wasn't planned. It wasn't, it just happened. And then, there's a reason for that. But yeah, part of it was my stupidity. I really thought a person could be, better than what they are. You believe in people and what they say. And at the end of the day, you really got to read people and their actions. And, I don't know, if they talk a sweet game, yeah, just go by their actions and your gut, But in the same strength, if I went by my gut and bailed out early, because there was a couple times where I was like, nah, this chick is a little shaky, I wouldn't even have a daughter. And my daughter changed my life. So maybe my stupidity in that certain situation, it helped me out in the long run. So, but not only that, being a parent, there's a number of different things that have stuck with me that is hard. It is hard. There was, for example, like the car breaking down, having no car, so I'd have to carry my daughter or take the bus. Carrying my daughter because it's bus schedules. If they don't line up to your schedule with work at the daycare, which daycare is another thing. Daycare is so expensive, and they got assistance for some things. I know I got cleared for single parent assistance where daycare was costing me like $500 a month. Like, it was... ouch, I could barely afford it. And I got cleared for something that I didn't even know about. Somebody came up to me that knew me in the daycare. It was in the daycare. So they said, listen, sign up for this thing, and it's $50. I think it's like 2 weeks or a month. Something like massively good deal. Some grants come in, and all these politicians create these different grants and whatever, whoop-de-whoop. So, but it was with that organization. It was like a Catholic daycare. So stuff like that, little things like that help big time. But there's moments where I even thought, like, I can't do this. In those 9 years, especially when she was a baby, there was 2 or 3 times. And I got real lucky, though. I got super lucky with my kid. And a lot had to do with you putting the effort in. Like, structure was wildly important. I'll get to structure in a second. But there was times where my daughter, because of as far as from what I remember with the doctor saying, because of the way her ears inside are designed, anytime she would get a cold, it ended up that she got an ear infection, or it was something like that, where she got some type of cold or some type of yada 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 because of how her ear canal was designed, or the shape of it. She was prone to getting these ear infections. And I remember the first time it happened, no clue what was going on. Everything's perfect. Put her to bed. She has like a 8 o'clock bedtime on the dot. She's down for sleep. And she just wakes up like 2 in the morning just crying. And that's not right. She sleeps all night. And she's just red in the face, screaming. It's got a temperature. And then you're trying to calm her down. You take her to the hospital. And you got to work the next day. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like you can switch off duties with another parent. So you go to the emergency room because you can't just wait to go to a doctor. It's the middle of the night and she's screaming. I think those times almost broke me. There was moments where I just had to walk away and be like, oh my God, I can't do this. And even saying it out loud, there was 2 or 3 times. And I think that is, in a weird way, it's some type of relief. Hearing you say it, hearing you be like there was a couple times where I just said, I can't do this. I'm done. Like I can't. I just can't do it. Hearing those words, and then it's so weird. Like, even though you say them in your own head and you hear them, but hearing them out loud, and then just taking a deep breath, having a smoke or whatever. You want to have a joint, I don't care. I don't judge. I don't think weed is the devil. Get the hell out of here with that shit. I personally didn't smoke, though. I just wanted to stay level-headed. But yeah, just hearing it out loud was enough for me to just take a moment, take a breath, calm down, go back and relax. And there was a lot of times where I was just dead the next day, exhausted. And I know with her earaches, it was like once a month for like 4 or 5 months where it was just out of nowhere. She was just fine. And next thing you know, she's screeching bloody murder in the middle of the night. And then you got to take her to the ER, and she was immune to amoxicillin. So they had to give her, I think it's pronounced with like an F or something. It's something else like amoxicillin that's an antibiotic that can help with the ear infection or whatever. So the first or second time we were getting amoxicillin, and it wasn't working at all. So you would spend that whole night, go to the hospital, come home, you get the medicine, take the medicine. It don't work. She's still screaming bloody murder. Oh my God, yo. And those moments I think stand out as some of the ones that really almost broke me. And I got to tell you, I know a lot of people. I asked almost everyone because, again, I was shook. I had no clue what I was doing. I just made it up as I went along. And I think that's part of why I did so well when she was a baby with certain things, because I was just so shook of screwing it up, like, again, with structure. But where was I going off with that? Oh, yeah, I would ask people, does it get easier or harder as they get older? Everyone, 100% told me it got harder. I mean, 100%. And as she's 9 now, I gotta disagree. I gotta disagree. There's parts that get harder, absolutely. But there's also parts that get easier. And it's a weird reverse. It's a weird trade. Like when they're babies, they're very dependent. But as they get more independent with certain things, like I can tell my daughter now, okay, it's bath time, shower time, go. And you just check up, make sure they're using enough shampoo, or make sure they're not flooding the tub, or make sure they're using enough toothpaste, or make sure they're actually doing it and not throwing it in the sink. And the kids are trying to get out of stuff. I know my daughter tries to pull the wool over my eyes. Is that a saying? Numerous times trying to get out of things or chores or whatever. So it's like a trade-off, when they're really dependent. There's that, again, with being sick and you have to wait on them hand and foot. They're kids. They don't, especially when you got to change diapers and all this. Jeez, But then when they get older, it's definitely a different trade-off with attitude, and now they're curious or blocking things on the internet and trying to just do that whole struggle, explaining things, and they hear something on the news or something in school, or it's just like, it's definitely a trade-off, but I feel like it's kind of easier, and I think that's mainly because I had no idea what the hell I was doing with a little baby girl. Come on. I was the last guy in the world you would ever look at and be like, yeah, you're going to do just fine at raising a baby daughter. Nah, hell's nah. But structure is something I think is, hey, look at that. I found a picture of Juliet when I think that I started this channel in 2013. There's little Juliet. I don't know if she looks like me here. I found a picture of little me in Jersey at the beach. You can't even see that, but yeah, it's a blurry photo. It's from the 80s. What do you expect? New Jersey Beach, it says on it. Anyway, structure is extremely important. Look at that beautiful picture. Come on. Look at that. I love that picture. This is one of my favorites. One of my absolute favorites. She is just a friggin' doll in that picture. Just a friggin' doll. But one thing I got a lot of compliments on was the structure. And again, it helped me out a lot. She had a certain time at bedtime. Now, keep in mind, she is, if you've ever been around babies or kids or seen people with babies or kids and maybe they have like a little bit of an off structure, I would tell my daughter, get your baba, get your binky, whatever, it's bedtime. And I limited her binky just because they say if they have a binky, it messes up with their teeth or something like that. So a lot of these things freaked me out. The having a bottle in the bed freaked me out because a lot of people say they rot your teeth or something like that. So a lot of these things freaked me out, and luckily she didn't have any of those problems like bottle rot or whatever it's called, but that's because I got so shook I'd screw everything up. So I would tell her at a certain time, and again I forget the time, but I'm almost positive it was like 7:30 or 8 o'clock, and it was always like 15 minutes until she fell asleep. And we're talking every night, every single night, get your binky, get your baba. And she was about this age. This was another picture when I first took my daughter on my own, and I went down and visited some family in North Carolina. That's her with my beautiful niece there, and that's how little she was when I took her. I think again about 4 or 5 months, but I mean it was incredible. Sometimes I was even like, I'm like pat myself on the back for that because I'd be like, listen, get your baba, let's go. She could be playing, she could be watching TV. She'd be like, all right, she'd hop off the couch. I remember the one time I was just so proud of like how this is working for us because again, this was someone who thought, just a month earlier, right? Just a month or 2 months earlier, I thought in 6 months, I'm going to screw this up in one way or the other. And then I'm like, listen, kid, get your baba, we go. And I didn't talk to her like she was a baby. That's just not me. I don't know. Maybe she needed a mom for that, but I always talked to her like she was a person. I think in a way, pros and cons with that, but she talked a lot sooner than a lot of the kids, and she used a lot more words. I mean, she was a lot more outgoing and vocal and whatever. And again, I did read up on some of that, and if you talk to them more like an adult, they pick up on certain things. So anyway, that structure helped a lot. Bedtime at a certain time every single night, 8:30. Then I have some friends over, some female friends, and I would have my dad time from, let's say it was 8:30, 9 o'clock, get the house cleaned up with, whatever she was playing with that day or anything. And then for the next few hours till about midnight or so, it would be my time to kick back and relax. Now that's difficult, and I would say that's that trade-off, because as a baby, or at least her, I would send her to bed, and she had a set time she ate every single day, and set meals and all this, and it was perfect. She would eat this whole meal here 3 times a day. She went to bed, she slept all night. I got super lucky with that stuff. When she was a baby though, from like newborn to the maybe 5 months or so, maybe less than that, I remember when we brought her right from the hospital, every night on the dot, I forget what it was, but it was like something like either 2:30 in the morning or 3:30 in the morning, but she would wake up for 1 hour to feed, and I would prep her bottle, and it was a special formula without iron or something, because it really messed with her stomach with the iron. It gave her bad gas and cry, and it was crazy. That's that special formula I had to go to WIC for. It's like $30 a can or something. I forget what it was, but it was expensive. So maybe it was more than that. I forget. Maybe $30 is like the normal. You guys put down in the comment box. It's been 9 years. So anyway, so we would sit down and I'd watch Dexter. That's when I was watching Dexter. I'd watch one episode every single night in the middle of the night, watch Dexter, and put her back to bed. So even when she first came home from the hospital, everything we did was on a schedule. And I think that's one thing that I got frustrated with my baby mother, because when we were talking about certain things, I would tell her, I want a life too. I want to be able to live. There's some things that now that I think about, I want to do, I want to accomplish, I want to create. But in the same strength, like, we had our lives, we had our time, we had a kid, so now it's time for us to put us on the back burner, and it's time to, put our kids ahead of us. And it's just that's how I saw it. That's how it was. And for her, it didn't line up. It was like a me first thing, And I just found that as vile. I could not stand for that. And I was like, eh. And I'm not saying like you're not allowed to do anything. It's nice for you to get babysitters, or your kid hangs out with grandma or something. You get to go to the movies or go out on a date, or it's good to be able to do that. It's healthy even for adults to continue to live their lives. But I don't think it's healthy for the kid if the adult's life is priority over the kid, especially for structure and whatnot. I think it's a nice healthy balance. If you have the kid's life structured, like my daughter went to bed at a certain time every friggin' night, no matter what. Even when I walked her to my friend's house and we hung out with people in the neighborhood, I was always walking back at a certain time to put her to bed, and then I had mine. So I was able, it's easier to structure my life around the structure that I formed for my daughter. So I can hang out with my kids. I can hang out with my friends after I put my kid to bed at a certain time, and whoop-de-whoop. So I literally structured my fun time around my daughter's structured life, how it was set, especially when she was a baby and early on, because that seemed like it was easiest. So I think here's some of the first pictures in our first apartment. Some of the cutest too. She was just adorable. I love taking pictures with her because she was just friggin' adorable. And I just took these pictures just for the future. I didn't take these pictures to, as you can see, they're real pictures. I didn't take these to post them on social media. I just didn't care. I was like, this is my kid. I love my kid. Look at that face. Not that face. Look at that face. I mean, just absolutely beautiful. And then look at those chubby cheeks. She is just a friggin' doll. And then here's one when we first moved in, I believe, and that was her room there, and I was getting some of it organized. You could see like her Winnie the Pooh, her Winnie the Pooh crib there. We got a little fan because up north they don't have central air, so when it's hot, you either open windows and roll on a fan, and then when it gets super cold, you do the plastic wrap over the windows. I still kind of feel like some of that is outdated. You move down south, and because they have so much heat so often, everything is central air. I found myself being like, this is just weird, because back home in Pennsylvania, you're actually putting plastic wrap over windows just to keep the heat in and the cold out or something like that. So maybe that's just poor housing. I don't know, but that's what we did. Here's Juliet clapping her hands saying, yeah, we made it, bro. We did it. But again, this isn't like I don't even know how many people are going to care to listen to this whole 30-minute conversation, but this isn't like a congratulate me. I wouldn't be shocked if I ended up putting this video up and then failing, getting busted with like an ounce of coke and going to jail in like a year. That's a joke. I'm not around any hard drugs. I'm just joking. I put that shit behind me. I got to raise my kid. It's not a good environment for a kid. Me personally, if you want to do you, but I wouldn't be surprised if I screwed something up in a year from now, 2 years from now, which would be ironic looking back at this video. But now I do feel like this is a good message to put out there for people. Whatever situation you're in, whatever background you're in, I had an uphill journey, man, right from the gate. Even when we moved down south, I had to get my mother to rent an apartment so we can live in it, because no one would give me a job, no one would let me live there, which is, I just gotta say, it's disgusting. Listen, I got caught with weed, man. I got caught with marijuana. Come on, some pot, some weed. And I know because I got caught, and has nothing to do with kids, has nothing to do with schools, had nothing to do with that, but because of certain laws, and we'll break it down in the coming video, but I couldn't live, work, or reside near a school or a bus stop or some shit like that. And then you hear actual child predators, political people are all like, oh, well, we gotta let them live somewhere. We can't, like, it's so ridiculous. There was so many times where they're allowed to live there, and I only know that because there was people handing out these flyers. I was coming out of an apartment complex, and it was like, yeah, this, child predator, an actual child predator moving around, and I'm thinking like, wait a minute, in court they told me I couldn't live, work, or reside because where I had weed at, there was a school like around the corner. You know what I'm saying? Which I didn't sell weed to school kids. I didn't go near the school smoking weed. I didn't even go on that street. I was always on this street because the building had 2 exits, and enter and exits. I didn't even know that school was there. It wasn't even in school. It was like a private daycare or something. I had no idea it was even there. And yeah, I couldn't be around it, but predators are, because you can't take away their opportunities for work. It's like, wait, what? So I had a lot like that that I screwed up. I'll give, 100%. I'm just telling you, if you're looking at a rocky road, there's definitely, not always, but there's definitely a moment where you can just take a breath and just keep driving forward. I don't have any good quote for you. Just keep on moving, man. Keep on busting through those obstacles, because it will get easier. And it has. It definitely has. It's still not completely, you're still going to hit your hardships. I don't want to make everything sound like it's just fine. Everything's perfect. My daughter's getting older now. She's getting some attitude, but man, there's no more diapers at least. That's a good thing. I know one time my daughter, and that was another thing, I had to learn how to be prepped with bottles and diapers and all that. I remember one time she just exploded, and I ended up changing her in my mother's trunk. I think we met up with my mother for lunch or something like that when I visited. Yeah, it was when I visited it down south when I was still living up north, and my daughter exploded. And I was like, there was nowhere to change her in the restroom. I went to the guy's restroom, but they didn't have no stall to change a kid. So I went outside. I'm like, yo, Ma, what do I do? Whoop-de-whoop. And I put her down in the trunk and just changed her there. It was a brand new car. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't like this dirty tire in the trunk. But, yeah, you got to prep for things. And that's another thing. Changing stalls in men's room. I found a bunch of places that had them, but a lot of places didn't. So you get caught out on the road, you better know which places have those changing rooms or whatnot. But you don't have to give up your life completely. But I will say, if you are a single parent or getting into a situation where you're going to be a parent, look at structure. And then structure a lot of what you do around your kid's structure that you have set, if you can, and that's depending on your work schedule. There was a lot that will interfere and conflict, like nap times and stuff like that. When I had a job that wasn't during the day or it wasn't at night, obviously there would be different times where you go to bed. There's times where she normally would be going to bed, but I'm picking her up at like 2 a.m. at the daycare, because that's when I get off at the club or the bar or whatever, and I got to walk her home. So I would try to find ways to get like my aunt to come over, or a friend I knew, or someone I could pay that I knew real well. So you try to make things work the best you can. But I got to say, man, structure did me right. Structure is the number one thing I say to get down and keep a focus on, for real. I'm just going to shut up, because honestly, I don't even know if this video was helpful or interesting. If you made it this far and it was helpful or interesting in any type of way, and it didn't come off as look what I did, then please comment down below and let me know, because I really don't want it to come off as I did this, I'm the bomb. I want this to come out as listen, that shit, a lot of times it's rough, man. It's rough, but you can do it. You definitely can do it. It's not going to be easy, but you can do it, and it'll change your life for the best. I think my daughter, as cliche as it sounds, she definitely made me a completely different person, a better person for it, to be honest, as I spit into the microphone. But I'm going to get going. I got to put presents under the tree. This is Christmas of 2018. If you're watching this, like, I don't know, 2 years later, I don't know why. Go and look at a newer video and see if I got, put in jail or something, or if I screwed up being a parent. That would be funny. All right. Love you guys. Thank you very much for the support this year. I got a lot of exciting things planned for 2019 that I've been talking about for months now. We're finally getting to it. It's going to be a slow rollout in January, but I'm hoping you're going to see, slowly going to see a little bit of a new structure on this channel as well. Maybe that's something I should keep in mind when I'm reworking the channel. That's interesting. All right. Love you guys very much. Thank you very much for the support all this time. And I'm done talking, so it's your turn.